All right, Alec.
Hey, Buddy
Back
the
to
Elf,
the
what's your favorite
back.
color?
What's your favorite color? Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
Um, we're here. We just reviewed
So we
Ghost.
going on a tomato. He's had some tough times on the farm, rabbits.
Yes, yeah.
I could quote like half this movie, by the way.
It's very quotable.
It is.
What are the
So
four?
yeah,
What are the four food categories the elves try to go by?
candy, candy canes, candy corns, and syrup.
the, okay, so this is jarring. This is jarring. We just went from Ghost in the Shell. All
Yeah.
right, classic anime, philosophical, thought provoking.
Mm.
And we're going to Elf, which is an all time Christmas classic. Or is it? Maybe we
20,
don't think
20
so.
years, 20 years next year. 20 years.
20
Isn't
years
that
ago?
crazy? Yeah, it's gonna be 20 years
It is
next
crazy.
year. 2003. This was in theaters at the same time as Lord of the Rings: Return of the King.
And this is one of those movies where growing up in grade school, it was just always getting thrown on. At Christmas time, just want a movie to watch. Like, I don't have anything planned for today to watch Elf.
Mm.
I've watched Elf so many times, even without like going out of my way to do it. So as I do understand that you specifically make time for it every year, is that right?
We make time for it every year. So, unlike you, I didn't. I think I only maybe saw it 3 or 4 times growing up.
Hmm.
But it was about 7 years ago. Because we have our own plans to do 10 years of our own celebration. So my one of my best friends, Dan, um, he's actually the brother of one of my housemates. He started doing an annual tradition called Elf on the 12th. The 12th day of December.
Mm-hmm.
We do Elf on the 12th, and it's just a gathering. We get together and we have a little party. Sometimes there's a little trivia, other games, and then we watch Elf. There's always like cookies and stuff, and it's always a good time had. So yeah, and we've been doing it since I think 2015 was the first year that we did it.
Mm-hmm.
So we're this is the seventh year this year, which is crazy.
Wow.
During COVID, we had to do it. We did it remotely. Dan and Julia, who are their couple, they're both concerned about having too many people because we're gathering a decent amount of people. We get usually about a dozen or so
Huh.
every year, and so
12
not wanting to risk
elves.
that, not wanting to risk that during the COVID times. But this year we're fortunate to have it all in person again. So yeah,
All
it was
12
good.
elves for Elf
All
on the
12
12th.
elves. Yeah, I'm trying to remember how many were there. Let's see. Yeah, there were 12 people this year. No,
12.
how about
12s
that?
all around.
Yeah.
I mean, let's just get right into it. Also, I mean, I assume
Okay.
every year you look at it very critically. Every time you watch it, you're just like analyzing it and it's really trying to break it down on every level.
I think for a 10-year anniversary, we're gonna watch the commentary track. Next year we talked about renting a theater out, maybe possibly just for fun. Because it's the 20th year anniversary of the movie. So to answer your question, not really.
No.
This is one of my favorite
No.
Christmas
You
movies. I
would just
love this
never,
movie,
you would never do that.
but
No one's ever compelled to do that.
not
But
really, not like overly critically. No,
we'll try our best. Let me just get right into it. Is this the best Christmas movie? Period.
that's very difficult to say because I also hold White Christmas in extremely high regard. White Christmas does have a little bit of like downtime in the sense that like you got to show off the dancing numbers and stuff that happen. It's almost like, oh, that's an old Hollywood thing. You got to have like some tap dancing and stuff in there, and
Mm-hmm.
so there's some like it's just kind of like, oh, let's stop the movie and do a fun dance number. And like that's not really to the movie's detriment, but it's definitely like it's a slower paced movie. Um, but I hold that in extremely high regard also. It's a Wonderful Life is typically seen as a Christmas movie because the last 45 minutes of it take place on
Hmm.
Christmas Eve. So even though most of the rest of the movie is not taking place then, because of that, that's also one of my favorite movies. If you watched our films that define us, you would know that that's one of my all-time favorite movies.
Mm. Harry
And a
Potter, The
movie that I
Sorcerer's Stone, an all
and
timer.
yeah, those Harry Potter, they always did like ABC Family back
Yeah,
before
they
it turned into
did.
Freeform. Every single time it was like Harry Potter movie marathons. It was always on Christmas.
Yeah,
And I think it's just because of those first two movies have such a like they have like a Christmas vibe.
I guess
Regard
so.
even though most of the movie doesn't take place at Christmas, because there's so much of the movie. It's a good like 25 minutes to each movie, like around
Mm.
Christmas. So I get that, I guess, but I
And
don't know.
I mean, personally, in my family, our biggest ones were always like the claymation Christmas movies we would watch.
So growing up, those are the ones that I watched the most. Probably the Rudolphs. Didn't really watch The Year Without a Santa Claus super often, but we did watch Frosty the Snowman a lot.
Santa Claus is
Uh,
coming to town.
Santa Claus is coming to town.
That's the
That's it.
Heat Miser,
Heat Miser and Snow
Snow
Miser.
Miser.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, those are
Um,
classics. But I personally feel like Elf might be the best. It might be the best Christmas movie there is. It's just there's something about it.
it's like Home Alone and Home Alone 2 are up there for me too,
Hmm.
but there is something about Elf that is real. It's real special. That's for sure.
It's wholesome. It's completely wholesome, and which is
It
what you
is.
would say is a Christmas movie. Why wouldn't it be? But I mean, if you
Yeah.
go back and watch Rudolph and tell me it's all wholesome, it's not. It's not. They
No,
get
Santa's
crude.
kind of they get crude. Also, Santa is kind of a terrible person in those. Though
Yeah, some of them
Santa's
are rough.
arguably a little Santa's arguably a little manipulative in this too.
And
Is a
how?
little
In what
bit.
way?
Um,
Well, he does. Yeah.
towards the
Well,
when he
first of
meets
all,
Buddy in the woods, it's like, yeah, I don't want anyone I want. I wouldn't have anyone else working on my sleigh tonight. It's like, really, you wouldn't want Papa Elf working on your sleigh? Isn't he like your
no, that's the
technician?
truth. That's what he believes in his heart. But
But he's like, go, Mr. Elf. And it's like,
in
wow,
the
he's really buttering him up.
in the beginning, should he have brought the baby back to the orphanage? Is it okay to just take a baby when he accidentally comes out of your bag from an orphanage?
So this raises an interesting. Everything
Ethical.
about this raises an interesting question because one of the elves says, and I know this from experience of watching this movie once a year for the last 7 years. One of the elves says, "You must have picked him up when he was at the when you were at the orphanage.
Yeah.
The orphanage.
Yeah.
Does Santa only go to one orphanage in the entire world?
Yeah.
I don't think so."
Yeah, like what? How many like million stops that he's got? And it's like the orphanage must have been from that the orphanage
Yeah,
you have in mind.
yeah.
Yeah,
So,
interesting.
so if you take away that particular elf's line, if you then think about like, well, Santa doesn't know what orphanage or where he picked him up at all
Yeah,
necessarily. I mean, maybe it was a baby in some random house. I don't know. So Santa's at a like Santa can't put out an APB, like
yeah, but no one, no
to
one
figure out
ever
where.
like. There's no rule that Santa can't communicate with people. He could just,
I guess
or
that's
he could
true.
have someone out, take him and just be like, uh, put it out on the news or whatever.
Missing
Like
child.
it's a child
Is this your
accidentally.
child?
Yeah,
Yeah,
but I mean, Buddy the Elf. He's Buddy
buddy
the Elf
elf.
because he got
Yeah,
Buddy diapers on.
little buddy's diapers. Yeah, name must be Buddy.
Okay, also a question. Yeah, the whole thing is he's huge in this class of children, but so is
Hmm.
that's implying that the elves age at a crazy level, or is his intellectual level just that different? Because why else is he with these children in class?
I think it's a mixture of both. Especially because like that elf teacher is also like, all right, before we do our advanced circuit board construction, I don't remember the exact line, but it's something about like
Yeah.
making circuit boards and stuff for like electronics. You have to remember the three elf rules or whatever, three elf sayings.
Hmm.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I think it's maybe it's a little of both. because they call him a special elf too.
Yeah.
So you're just special. So, and I like how
Uh,
he instantly knows what that means. That's one of my favorites. It's like he's just like, oh, I get it.
and so it just raises some questions when you dive into it. Like, are they implying that he's like he is truly special, or is it because he's not an elf? He doesn't have the elf genes. That's why he sucks at making toys. He's like 900 down on the quota. He made like 80
Yeah,
toys.
85. That leaves you 915 off the base.
Like I like that scene too. He's just kind of like
uh,
hammering randomly on the sides, like classic.
yeah. Uh, he's just making sure it's all tight. It's all airtight.
But so I'm just wondering in the lore, is it just because elves are just like determined, like they're what's the word, predisposed to be good toy makers, that
Well,
they
remember they do say that like that's when Papa Elf is giving his narration. He says like that's the big one. So like elves have different professions.
there's
But
two
that one's
other
like
ones, yeah.
the two other ones, but they both suck for a variety of reasons. But that's the show. Like the best elves make it to work at Santa's
Yeah.
workshop.
Well, how did
Um,
Buddy get there?
what do you mean? How did Buddy get there?
How did
He
he
was
get
he was
with the
raised.
best?
He was right, but he was being raised. Uh it's nepotism because he was brought in by Papa Elf,
So
played wonderfully by Bob Newhart.
yeah. So what the two other jobs were making shoes, and what was the other one?
Making cookies.
Making cookies. So yeah, the shoes and the cookies are the lowly professions, and then the best one is making every single toy that goes out. That's you got shoes, cookies, and then toys, which is such a huge category that spans everything else.
Yeah.
And like, but it just brings the question, like, I've always had. I mean, when I was growing up, I'd have these questions. What, like,
Sure.
they're making toys in the workshop. Like all the
Hmm.
toys you see, they're making just the classic toys. But then like someone wants a skateboard, like this new model
Yeah.
skateboard.
A
Are we
real
are
huffboard.
we to believe they're making that skateboard, or they just go out and buy that? They just go and get that skateboard.
I think so. My understanding of the lore, like this is my head canon when I was theory crafting about Santa Claus.
Mm,
When I was younger,
as you do.
basically I was like, so all the toys that like we do like we can purchase at stores, but Santa's Workshop goes into like extra high end production specifically for Christmas. So like there's work there's manufacturing that goes on year round at Santa's Workshop because he's a contracted worker, or I should say he contracts out work to these other locations because he's ancient, um so really ultimately like all the designs in it for everything basically come from him. And Santa's Workshop stuff can make everything, but they only do stuff for Christmas uh, because that'd be rough to. There'd be no way they could possibly make enough for literally every toy that's on every shelf of every retail store across the entire world.
I see.
So
So I mean, just, where's the line? Are they not making the Xbox if the kid wants an Xbox?
yes, they
Yeah.
are. Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy. That's crazy. We
yeah.
only see
Yeah, isn't it
one.
wild?
We only see one side where they're making the Jack in the
Yeah,
Box.
yeah.
And
I
the
think the
primitive
simpler toys
toys.
are always a thing, um, but that also leads to one of the greatest moments of Critical Role ever. There was a Critical Role Christmas special.
Hmm.
I won't spoil the whole thing, but the premise was it was called The Night Before Christmas, and it was basically for non copyright infringement. It was basically a Nightmare Before Christmas, um, except all of the players were elves, were Santa's elves.
Hmm.
But there's some spooky shenanigans going on at Santa's Workshop, and there was one of the players was playing an elderly elf who who was who went on one of the greatest rants I've ever heard in a D&D session, where he talked about he was like, I hate circuits. It's like, they made me making Game Boys. I work with wood.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, so, this movie. Back
Well,
to the
I'm just
movie.
saying
Back to Elf.
it's easy to see how as a kid you can get. It's so quick to start doubting.
Oh, you can get in the weeds real quick.
Where
Yeah,
it's
start
like
down. Yeah.
it's like Santa Santa got you Fallout 3 on the Xbox 360
Yeah.
in his workshop though. Like Santa's really taking like he's making the video game, or is
he's
he
making a
he's
video
taking
game.
the time to go out and buy this from Walmart?
Okay, so he's not. Yeah, he's not developing the video game, but he is printing and manufacturing
That's
the game at
crazy.
least.
And then
So you know
every
that.
depiction of Santa's workshop, it's always wooden toys. That's all.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah.
They don't tell you about all this freaking super high technical stuff that's going on.
Mm.
Anyway, there's also an interesting scene that the North Pole. You got elves, buddies there, and then there's just like these claymation animals.
Yeah.
And a snowman that talks.
Yep.
It's just,
Leon.
It's so random. It's so random. Narwhal.
Yeah, Mr. Narwhal, Arctic Puffin,
Yep.
who's I think my favorite. Arctic Puffin randomly. This is a weird detail, but Arctic Puffin shows up in like the last scene of the movie. Have you ever noticed that?
I don't know if I
Where
did.
they're sitting around with little Susie, and it's like, oh, we're visiting Papa Elf. Now they come up to visit sometimes. Arctic Puffin is just chilling on the couch there with them.
I did not know that.
It's like okay, like it's like a little family get together, and then just like just Arctic Puffin's just hanging,
So
you know.
weird. So weird.
So-
Also that he converted like Zoe Deschanel. He just lives the elf life now. I guess.
He said they come to visit occasionally, so she probably just lives the elf life when she's there.
Oh, okay.
You know, because when in Rome, as they say. So.
So
Jovi. Her name is Jovi. Also, by the way.
Jovi. Okay.
Jovi. Isn't that a name? Jovi.
So that's the beauty of this movie. It's a fish out of water, an elf, a human who thinks he's an elf in New York City, and it's just the antics, the hilarity that ensues.
It's a very New York. I like the New York vibes. I always dig that when they really kind of capture, especially in like a silly goofy movie like this, but when they can capture the vibe of a city in just like a short period of time, I like it when they can do that.
I mean, it's literally just dropped into New York City, and no bones about it. They just had to film him in New York City. Like, I want to know. I never really looked into behind the scenes stuff. I want to know more about like how that went.
I think there was an episode of The Movies That Made Us that talks specifically about this. I haven't watched it, but I do know. I'm pretty sure most of the scenes where he's just going around the city, like the montage, that was all just filmed. Like they went out and filmed him just doing stuff. That was legit.
That's what I assume you have to do in New York. Obviously, you're not clearing the whole street, but
like running up to the guy in the big red suit, like Santa. Oh.
The only thing I don't get is that there's never one person looking at the camera, though. So I'm like, how many are there extras in here? How many of them are extras? That's just my question. Because if you're just randomly filming on the street, everybody can be looking at that camera. So that's the only thing.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. I've never really thought about that before, honestly. I think when it comes to something like that, they are able to do a little bit more like covert shooting. So they might not like have the whole lighting and film crew and all that stuff. So they probably have.
They hit it somehow.
Yeah, they might. I don't know. Again, maybe they talk about it that more in that documentary.
Yeah, I would be interested to know that.
Yeah, I would definitely like to know some details about that too.
But he is straight up picking gum off of the rail, though. That's for sure.
I don't know if that was all planted or ahead of time. I would hope someone planted some PA planted that all ahead of time. Because if not, man, that's rough. That's like how many diseases you're getting from that.
But still, you can only make it so clean, regardless.
Yeah, no, that's true. Yeah.
But
um,
I mean, Will Ferrell, the shining role. I
mm.
mean, he kills it. He kills it. He makes
It's just
this character thrive.
he's just so honest and earnest, and it's just like it's a magical performance. Like he just completely gives everything to it. It's
Hmm.
fun and wonderful.
And even
Um,
after watching it so many times, it's still there's so many laugh out loud moments. Still,
yeah, it's
it's good.
hard. It is hard to not laugh at how fun and goofy and kind of stupid sometimes this
It's
movie
very
really is.
stupid moments. Yeah,
Yeah.
where he wants to hold hands with his dad, and
Hmm.
he's singing a song, and
All right, Dad. How
uh,
many how many scoops? He's got the
yeah,
speed.
the freaking
No
spaghetti.
thanks. I just got
Everything has to have spaghetti as the base.
um, I've had friends that have tried spaghetti with syrup. They say it's all right.
It's alright.
So I think the one thing also was that he got like some pretty bad headaches from the scene where he had to put all of the like goodies in the spaghetti and then like mash it on his mouth. This is like if you imagine having to do multiple takes of that, I can imagine that being torture.
Yeah. Well, I was
um,
thinking about that when he was freaking. They were breaking the Legos in that thing. I'm like, damn, you better get this on the first take. That's hell to reassemble.
that and like that scene is always that actually like hurts my soul every time I see that.
Yeah.
As growing up with Legos when Lego sets would like fall apart, that was like no, that's so many hours of work. It's honestly it's like heartbreaking seeing that. Really nice rendition of the New York City skyline that he did.
The fact that this manager did not know who worked for him, and he just assumes anyone who walks in with Christmas attire on is just one of his employees. He's like, "What are you
He's working
doing
under
over
the
here?"
table. He's working under the table. It's like it's after 9/11. There's some people that are just like out down on their luck and out and out. So it's like you see a guy in Christmas gear. He's clearly working for
he
me.
just he just puts them to work. He just gets swept up into these things. And I just there's something
There's
beautiful about the innocence to it, where it's like every situation, it's like the most. He's taking something positive out of everything he's put into. He's like thrown in the mailroom. He's just having fun there. He's walking home with his brother, his little brother, and he's just talking about, oh, I saw a dog.
I
Just
saw a dog today. I'm 26 years old. I gotta get out of the flow. That's, that line kills. It kills every single time we watch it. That's. I think that line gets the biggest laugh in the whole run every time. It's like I'm 26 years old.
it's a good one.
Oh, so back to that manager. You reminded me another fun detail about that.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever noticed what his name is on his name tag?
Mm-mm.
His name is Wanda. Do you know why his name is Wanda?
No.
Because originally that was supposed to be Wanda Sykes, but
Hmm.
there were scheduling conflicts and she couldn't make it. So they just gave that guy the name tag. And you know what? I'm totally okay with it because that guy's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't remember
Wow.
that actor's name, but he's fantastic.
Yeah.
He like for as brief of a time as he's in the movie, he makes an impression. So
He thinks corporate came in and set all this stuff up overnight, and someone's gunning for his job.
6-inch ribbon curls, honey. 6 inches.
Yeah.
I love this movie very much. Yeah, no, I one of the things that I always really like about the movie is just like I mean it's kind of like a classic uh there's a classic sort of like Scrooge element where it's a man learns to love sort of like the idea of a holiday or like the cheer and the warmth and the togetherness it brings. And it's sort of like there's that element with Walter that happens throughout the course of the movie. And I always like that element in Christmas films. Um so uh
Yeah.
having that as it's always like that's always the nice sort of like through thread of the movie. Because I think that's kind of what makes the movie work is having him play like the grumpy sort of straight man to this goofy person. He just found out, hey, I have a long lost son, and he's insane. Basically, he's not, but that's how it appears to
Mm.
literally everyone. So, yeah,
Yeah, and yeah, it's a feel good movie at the end of the day,
yeah,
and the everybody singing at the end,
yeah.
and the mother is just awful.
She's terrible. Oh, it's just awful.
Every time I
You know,
notice it so clearly.
I made the joke this time. It did this joke did not like I made while we were watching it. I made the joke. I was like, hey, at least she sings better than Jose Feliciano, and everybody got upset at me. And
Why?
I was like because and they were like, no, it was like Feliz Navidad's a good song, and I was like, it's a fine song, but I don't think that guy can sing a note. And then everyone got upset, and I was
Come
like,
on.
okay, never mind.
It's definitely not better than that. Every time I
I
watch this
know.
movie,
I
I
was
notice that. It's so like, oh god, here we go.
Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. It's so bad. It's great though. That's what's charming about it. Is it's like, yeah, maybe I don't know if Mary Steenburgen actually can't really sing, but she does an extremely good job of if she can sing, she does an extremely good job of being somebody that is trying their hardest, but just can't sing.
um, so yeah, there's a couple of different elements to this plot. There is the Scrooge plot,
Mhm.
um, and then there's the love story
Yeah.
with um, with Zoe Deschanel.
hmm
That's her character's name.
As a blonde in this, and she's very cute as a blonde. I think.
Yeah, and she's like that kind of trying to break the outer uh or tear down the wall kind of thing. Even though it's like
Mm.
for that character, she really doesn't put up that much of a like opposition to it. Like she's actually
Yeah.
surprisingly on board with what
Yeah.
Buddy's given his energy.
Yeah.
Like willing willing to go on a date,
Yeah. It's just
not
that I
not
think
not that disturbed from the baby it's cold outside scene actually. So it's like
I think she understood the sort of like the innocence behind him after all the other stuff that he did after that. You know,
mhm.
being like, "Well, I didn't know. I'm sorry, I didn't realize." And like, I think you have the most beautiful voice in the world, and it's like, oh,
In the whole wide
he's a
world.
kid. It's
It's
really
gotta say
cute.
the whole wide
A whole
world.
wide world,
Uh-huh.
yeah, a whole wide world. And what's the other thing he says? Oh, you look miraculous. I was like, dang, that's a line there. That's you look miraculous. I was like, that's a good one. I'll have
Mm-hmm.
to remember that one.
Yeah. But
That's
I've
shocking.
this might legitimately be the first time I heard "Baby It's Cold Outside." Like I think this is probably where I heard it the first time.
I think probably me too. I almost wonder if this the movie kind of brought about like a little bit of a reintroduction of it, maybe into the popular culture. Maybe I don't know. The I do like the credits version where Zoe Deschanel sings it with Leon Rathbone. I used to not like that version, but the more I've heard it, the more I've really kind of come around to on that one.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's some of it was just because like Leon Rathbone has a very like old man kind of voice. Because I mean, as far as I know, he was sort of an old man at the time of this.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but no, I
I love
dig
that.
that.
I love that scene. If you're alone in the shower singing "Baby It's Cold Outside," are you just perfectly singing the appropriate genders parts? Is that how you would sing it by yourself?
No,
So
no, I would not because I always try to sing both
you gotta
parts.
sing both.
You got to try to do
So
both.
she just happened to perfectly allow for him to chime in his part.
If I'm singing with the radio, usually I'm doing the wolf part. So in if memory serves, in the original writing of it, which it did first appear in a Christmas movie, if memory serves. I think it's Academy Award winning, the song. I think the parts are listed as I think it's as mouse and wolf.
Okay.
And in the movie it's introduced in, it's sung both ways. It's sung with the woman as mouse and the man as wolf, and then the woman is wolf and the man is mouse. It's sung both ways in the movie, which I think is interesting, especially with like the sort of like the movement of people like being against. It's like, oh, it's about rape, and I'm like, it's not really, but because it was written in the 30s and roofies didn't really exist then. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's
You can still be
I like that
pushy,
song.
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but it's a lot more, it's a lot more in jest and playful than being pushy.
Yeah, I prefer.
It's a
I
lot more of
yeah.
an innocent song than I think people are like to. Everyone likes to get offended by everything these days.
Yeah, I like to give it the benefit of the doubt, just like
Yeah,
because it can be playful.
yeah,
The what's in the drink part is weird, but
yeah.
it's yeah, I prefer to see it in that
Again,
way.
uh, again, you have to remember the context in which it was originally written.
Hmm.
That wasn't a thing. That's more like her jokingly saying like, "Oh, like it's strong. What is
Right.
this?" kind of thing. But
But you could be getting her drunk. You know, that's also a thing. You
yeah,
could get someone drunk to
yeah,
take advantage of them, kind of thing.
right,
But
right.
yeah. So this was a fun scene, but it's like the reveal. I love the reveal of like not.
Maybe it's.
It's not until the very end you can actually hear.
Uh,
Which I'm surprised, like that she couldn't hear it actually, like even softly. It seems like
mm.
if you're leaving the space for the other part, and then you might be able to hear it.
Maybe
But
maybe it was one of those things where sometimes this is weird, but like I feel like sometimes when if I would be doing something like that, sometimes I like hear it so firmly in my head, like a
yeah,
harmonizing part in my head that like sometimes it almost feels like I'm hearing it myself. So maybe it was something like that was happening with her,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden he's just like out and out.
So
But
it's a nice wholesome love story too.
yeah,
I
yeah,
like
it's cute. It's a cute love story. I like it a lot.
the little relationship that he gets with his brother. That's fun too. The
Hmm.
freaking snowball scene. There were so many snowballs. It's such a coordinated effort. Like when they're just walking along and there's just hundreds of snowballs coming from every
Yeah,
direction.
it's
Like
like, geez, this
Jesus
is an ambush right
Christ.
here. It's an ambush and a half going on there.
Like
Yeah,
I couldn't help but keep watching as they just never stop. Like I've never seen that
yeah.
many
There's
snowballs. Every direction. Like and then the freaking super speed.
I
I
still love
love.
the.
Oh, what were you gonna say?
I said I love the leading the target at the end. Oh, one got away.
Yeah,
Give me a snowball.
yes.
And then
Yeah,
like
that's exactly what I was gonna say.
it's like one of the best. It's one of those the best kid like oof stock sound effects. It's like Roblox oof, and then that one.
Yeah,
It's like the
it was
best.
beautiful. That's a beautiful.
Um,
It's like that was a strong hit. Sent him all
and
the
then
way
he
down.
also goes like oh when he's running away too.
I mean, yeah. I mean, some of these guys are retreating after one hit. It's like, damn, he's got it like that.
That's murder. It's straight murder right there.
But that's
The North Pole.
literally,
The North
yeah.
Pole must have insane snowball fights if that's.
I like the idea though. It's just like he's good at all like winter activities. So it's just because that's the North Pole thing to do. But that's literally the whole snowball fight is what it took to basically win his little brother over. So from that
Where'd you
point
say
on,
you're from again?
from that point on, he's totally on his side. That's all it took. He just needed to be like the badass snowball fight,
Mm.
and so he's instrumental. And then in basically getting Walter Hobbs, his father, to like come to the light side, basically in the end.
Yeah,
When
so
he's
like his
presenting the idea that they stole, by the way,
oh
for
yeah, they
that
stole
story
from Miles
from
Finch, yes.
Peter
Um,
Dinklage. Yeah.
Peter Dinklage showing up and being also wonderful in this as like the douchey writing guy. I even said like this time watching it again, it's just like, can we just get the out of the way first? I was like, what a dick. I was just like,
That was kind of a really well written scene, though, in the way they had Buddy interacting with him, because it's like
mm,
every line he said, you can see how he's just interpreting it in the most innocent way possible, and he's
Mm-hmm.
like, call me an elf again, and so he just interprets that as like, okay, I will
Yeah.
then.
Okay. Yeah. All
And
right.
he does. And then he does a whole drop kick on him.
Like, look at you.
But then, like, I like the subtle little like when Walter, when the freaking other, I forget what his name is, the other guy, the heavyset guy who was yelling at him about like, you better present this idea to me right now. I flew out
Oh
just for
yeah,
this.
Mr. Greenway. Yeah.
Yeah, and he just gives a subtle fuck off.
Yeah. Up
Or
yours.
up
Yeah.
yours, yeah,
Up yours.
yeah.
I thought I love the whole cast of this movie. Everyone's cast like perfectly. I think like even Mr. Greenway, he's just like, hey, I'm anyway. We gotta have the pitch. You gotta give me the book.
He might be
You
my
gotta do
least
this pitch.
favorite. I don't
Oh yeah,
know.
I mean he's I mean yeah he's awful, but like that's what I mean. Like the actor does such a good job of being a son. You have to leave.
Don't tell my son what to do. Up yours.
Yeah, up yours. um.
So it's like, I mean, so it's like his little redemption story. He also did it
Mhm.
when he was like at his lowest, almost his lowest point. So it's like, I mean, you could have done it sooner. It's not that
Mm.
noble, but I guess it's noble that he's deciding not to go through with this stolen, presenting the stolen idea versus going to help Buddy. But it is a
Yeah,
nice
realizing he made a mistake and owning up to it and doing what's right and spending time with his son, with his young son, and then apologizing and making right with his long lost.
Mhm.
So yeah, all the scenes in the office though, like those are some of my favorites. I have I love his writing duo.
Yeah,
One of which
Andy Richter.
is yeah, Andy Richter, who is my favorite character in the entire movie because he says the best line of the movie. I was thinking it could be about a tribe of asparagus children, except they're self-conscious about the way their pee smells. It's just that comes out of nowhere. It is wonderful. I love everything about they're just goofy weirdos also.
Yeah, like how
Um,
did they how did they get anywhere with these ideas?
you're my top rating team tells me that I need to pitch an idea to get a pitch from another author. Miles Finch.
It's just such a goofy and silly thing. Just this idea that this guy is such a like prolific children author. They're bowing down to him, basically like accommodating him whatever he needs. Like we need this guy and his brilliance. You know.
He's written more classics than Dr. Seuss. So we were looking in the background. There is a book. There is one of the in Walter's office. He has different like books. Some of them are legitimate children's books because I think they're credited in the end credits. But there's one that's called Mama God, Papa God,
Yeah.
and we were all like, "What is that book?" I want to. What is that? I can't.
Yeah.
We were all kind of like scratching our heads about that one. Like, what is that book?
But ultimately, it's down to the story of where the sleigh needs to be powered by the Christmas cheer. You know, the belief in Santa is what powers the sleigh, and there's just not enough belief in the world these days. By the way, back to dip into this Santa lore.
Mm.
There's a theory going around that the parents do it. How on earth do the parents not believe in Santa if they're not putting the gifts out there? Like, where do they think the gifts are coming from? Shouldn't the parents all be 100% on board? Like,
Maybe they're
in
being
Santa?
maybe they're being gaslight. Maybe they're being gaslit. You know, it's like they think they're putting that. They think they're wrapping the presents, putting them out.
How?
But I don't know. Santa's magic. He's gaslighting them somehow.
that's like the biggest plot hole to me. And like
There's a rumor going around that the
the
parents do it.
I mean, I get it's just a joke.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. I guess it's just a joke, but diving into the lore as we were,
Yeah.
I just can't get past it. I'm like, that they should in this world it should be 100%
Mm.
confirmed. Santa's real. Like
Yeah.
parents are waking up, there's gifts ready for them too.
It's like, holy
It's like,
smokes! Wow. See, that's where the Polar Express does a better job with it, I think.
yeah.
The parents don't. The parents don't even know about the present that they get, or it's almost like, to me, the magic of Santa there is like the little touches on gifts that are already there, like the fact that the train set that the main boy gets has Polar Express on it. He was always going to get a train set, but Santa's magic transformed that into be like, this is
Yeah.
legitimate, tangible proof. That and the bell, obviously, but legitimate, tangible proof that that the train's real. It's not just your dream.
So maybe the Polar Express is a better Christmas movie. Hot chocolate.
Polar Express is another one that I adore, and I feel like we should probably watch that next year. I have a lot of very good things to say about that film.
Do like a Christmas movie a year or something.
Yeah.
Even though there's a lot, but it's just like, what else are we gonna do?
Yeah. What else? What else are we gonna do around here?
Park Rangers. This is the weirdest
the Central Park Rangers. Isn't it? Yeah, it's very bizarre. It's like the last minute.
Actual, like, I have no idea where this comes from. Is this an actual like lore that these park rangers are tough, or
I don't.
It's so random and out of left field.
No.
It's like I put them on the naughty list one year. They never forgave me.
I don't know. The Central Park Rangers.
And they're just like so intense about it. Like, what in the world?
There is a division of the New York City Police Department that enforces the public parks. They are called the Urban Park Rangers. The Simon and Garfunkel concert happened.
Okay.
That was a real life event that did happen.
And they were they criticized for how they controlled the crowds?
No, there's not really anything about that, but there's an incident where a man ran on stage apparently during it, but
it's so weird. It's like this idea that they're like laid dormant and they're like they rarely see action, but when they come out, they're the most intense.
Yeah, I know. It's just like to me, it's almost like a goofy like commentary on just like antagonists.
Yeah.
In movies, it's like, oh, we gotta have a villains here. It's like, I don't know, what do we do? The Central Park Rangers? Sure, we'll do that.
The editing and how it was shot, like, it's just so intense about it.
Oh, I love they're shot like almost like the ring wraiths from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like, I almost feel like that might have been because Lord of the Rings was very contemporary at the time. So I almost wonder if that was like a little bit of an inspiration for them.
Right.
There's also like the Four Horsemen sort of vibes from them too, because there's 4 of them. So,
but man, there's a lot to love from this movie. I mean, there's so many jokes we didn't even get into, like even the for that special someone, little lingerie piece.
Oh
like
yeah, that's
nice
I love that's a good joke too. Yeah. One detail that I thought was really kind of not really fun, but it was a detail that I was like, that makes a lot of sense from a film during this time period. I did notice that there was like, because this is New York 2003, there's definite like signs of like America of that period of time. It was almost expected, maybe not expected, but it was like just sort of like a given that you would be a little bit more patriotic, especially in New York, especially in a city that had suffered as much as it did. And like I just noticed I was just paying more attention to backgrounds. I did notice more flags. I really like the one that's in the background of the Walter's office in the office scene. There's a really big one up on the wall by the entrance of the office there. And I just like, it's just like a little subtle reminder of like, yeah, that would not be out of place at all in any office building, in any singular office in the Empire State Building. It'd almost be like a given that you would have an American flag just like up there. So that was just like one of those things that was like, yeah, time period, that makes a lot of sense. New York 2003.
Well, yeah, I wonder how much of that was already there. You know, they might not even have to.
Yeah.
Just
I don't know.
But yeah, I'm very interested in the behind the scenes and this kind of thing. It's like so much of it is just right out in the thick of it. So
Yeah, especially like the movie magicness of like the opening scenes and stuff, how all that was shot. Oh, that was another thing too. I love the like classical techniques, force perspective being used for a lot of the Will Ferrell stuff, in terms of him looking like really huge.
Yeah.
Loved all that. That's just like classic old
Hmm.
fashioned movie making there, and it's used for comedic effect here, especially like especially because there's a lot of like wide and flat shots, which are perfect for comedy in the North Pole. So like they just do a lot of really fun stuff with that. So yeah,
Yeah.
techniques are on point. John Favreau shows up in this
That's
movie. He
true.
directed it, um, and Mr. Marvel himself. Uh, he's not Kevin Feige, but you know, involved.
Hmm. In
So
the music, I love the theme. I still love the theme.
yeah, it's one.
It's like
It's nice.
it just really captures a very Christmas sound, but it's like just so distinct. It's like so memorable.
It's good.
It's almost
I like it.
nostalgic.
It's actually it is a little. It's funny. There is a similarity to that theme and the actually the main theme of the Polar Express.
Hmm.
There's a the ba 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 bum
Hmm.
bum ba da bum, and then the Polar Express is bum 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 bum. So it's just like a couple
Yeah.
notes. But it is funny how the motives are like pretty similar at the beginning. I always joke it's like, oh, it's the Polar Express. Oh wait, no, or
Hmm.
it's Elf.
So
But
I just think this is probably one of the prime examples of like a a good fish out of water movie.
yeah, I think it does like a great job with it because like especially because there are like legitimate moments of like it is funny happy fun times, but like you understand like even with like the moment where like Walter like in the police station like puts him up is like, what do you want from me? Because he's like he thinks he's just messing with him or something,
Hmm.
or he wants money or who knows what. This guy's acting really weird, and yeah, it's just like every angle you sort of look at it from, it makes sense. It's really nice, tight, cohesive film, in terms of how it does that sort of thing. So
Yeah, just accepting everything at face value. The world's best cup of coffee.
the world's best cup of coffee.
Congrats. And then he surprises her with that too. It's
Mm-hmm.
like, what'd she call it? Just like a
It's just a crappy cup
crappy
of
cup of
coffee.
coffee. No.
So, no, world's best cup of coffee. Yeah.
And I think there's something that everybody could take away from that. Like the way he just finds joy in every little thing, you
Passion
know?
fruit spray?
Yeah. And even being put in the mailroom where it's supposed to be miserable. he's got he's got everybody cheering for him. He's dancing in there, you
Oop, there it is.
know. Again, I mean, people. He's breaking down barriers. Like these people that you wouldn't expect to be down with Buddy's energy. By the end, he's got him won over.
Yeah, it's amazing how infectious he is. I mean, that's kind of the magic also of like the singing scene is that it's not just the street. Like everyone he's affected. He's like brought some even with people that like filed a restraining order against him. There's Christmas cheer that's been brought to them just by him introducing it, like just by his presence in their lives. That's kind of like a fun little uh
Yeah,
charming thing about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
So now it comes down to this: what score do we give Elf?
Am I really gonna sit here and give Elf a 9?
A nine?
I don't know. I don't know if I can give it a 9. It's
Look, it might be higher.
yeah,
I mean,
honestly, this movie is it's hard to really find much at fault. I mean, like I think I've met people that don't really like it, and I think they're people that can't really deal with like
the
there's an element of like cringe, I think, to a little bit of it.
mm-hmm.
Um cringe, I wouldn't say it's like cringe humor, but like I mean, definitely like the scene, like the oh, he's an angry elf scene. There's like an element of cringe to that because it's like, oh, he's ruining this big business. He's ruining the big business meeting. He's
Mm-hmm.
the it's the big sale or whatever. That movie trope. It's like, oh, the gotta make the big sale or land the big client. That's sort of like the film trope, and then he comes in and ruins it. But like I don't know. It's like if you I feel like the people that don't like the movie are almost like maybe expecting too much from it. I almost feel like that sounds like I'm downplaying the movie's like comedy and I think some of its legitimate brilliance in terms of it
Mhm.
being a happy, charming, fun, good feeling Christmas movie. But
The
I don't know.
the people that do not like this movie just have no joy in their lives, and they refuse to seek it. All
They are
right.
Walter Hobbs.
Yeah, that's how I was gonna say. It's like they need to be won over in the same way
Yeah.
as he was won over. It's like they just don't look. They're just gonna go back to their corporate world and keep being a drone. That's what they are, and
Go back to be a
be
drone. Yeah.
miserable. You know,
Mm,
miserable. No Christmas cheer. That's what they are. All right, but you welcome Elf into your life, then you're a better
yeah.
person for it. You're
I
happy.
joyously watch it every year, and I'm not getting tired of it.
Hmm.
So, no.
But look, I can see an argument for anywhere from a 9 to 10. I'll go no
Yeah.
lower. It's
Yeah.
it's like
I will go no lower.
it's just I can't.
You can't. I feel like I can't justify going lower than a 9. I can't either, honestly.
But it's also hard to justify giving it 9.5 or higher
Mm.
because it is getting up there in the Godfather territory. Is it
Which
as
is
good as
like
the Godfather? Maybe it is. Maybe it's better.
maybe it is. Maybe it's better. Honestly, is Elf the greatest film ever made? I don't know. Who's to
Might
say?
be.
Um,
It might be.
no, I think in terms of what it sets out
Mhm.
to do,
Yeah.
it is more than effective. Like as I don't know if they were like intending. I don't think they intended to make like a Christmas classic. I mean, I guess maybe you ultimately hope that it becomes that, but and maybe while they were filming it, they may have felt that this movie was something pretty special. But I don't I don't know if you can't really predict how
No
things are
way.
received very
Yeah.
well by the general culture. Especially like Will Ferrell movies are always seem to me to always be extremely hit or miss.
Hmm.
Like when they hit they're big hits, and when they miss, they're Sherlock Holmes, they're Holmes and Watson. Um,
I mean,
so
but this is
I
the
don't.
phenomenon. It's like it's iconic. Like people just like the recognition alone. I'm sure it's got
Mm.
such a huge swath of like it's impacted in some small way or large way. So many people. But
And I think another thing that's really good is the fact that everyone involved in the movie has said, "Yeah, we're just not really interested in doing a sequel. There's no need. The movie speaks
yeah,
for itself, kind of thing." And
yeah.
I appreciate that a lot
Otherwise, we'd
because
have
I
six
feel like,
elves.
yeah,
Elf
which
six.
yeah, and I mean, there's been like little spin-offs, and I think there was like like an animated. There's been like a musical, and then like I think there was like a TV musical version as well. But they're more like little diversions. They're not like sequels or anything like that. So
Hmm.
um, good on them for sticking to their guns in that regard.
But is this movie no more than a novelty? It's almost an anomaly in the sense, like, if you can say that it's almost no flaws to speak of, but would you put it in your top 10 movies of all time? Would you be saying this is one of my favorite movies ever made? I don't know.
It's weird because isn't it interesting because we do classify stuff like there's Christmas music and then there's music that
Music.
you listen to all
Mm.
year long. And it is and like if you work in a retail environment, there's Christmas music, which is like what you're dreading to hear. Because like my I one of my housemates works retail, and they're all really excited over. They're like overjoyed because the music hasn't switched over on their playlist. Still, I think it's
Mhm.
like what is today, the 14th, the 15th, and their music hasn't switched over to the Christmas playlist. So it probably
That's
won't this year.
dreadful. No. You need to have Christmas music on now. But yeah, I mean, it is like a separate category. It's like Christmas, holiday movie. This is a holiday movie. It's not a film.
It's a it's a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It's about Christmas. It's not Eight Crazy Nights. That's a Hanukkah movie.
Yeah. but it's a movie you only play during in the holidays primarily.
It's true. Yeah.
I'm sure at school we whipped it out like in the middle of like September, one of those, or October, randomly.
Here we go. It's time for Elf.
Elf, remember the Titans?
Be in the spirit.
Elf.
Remember the Titans? Oh my gosh, that's like you just unlocked a memory. That does sound a lot like hey, we'll put on Remember the Titans. That's good for the kids.
Do you guys want Remember
Or
the Titans? Elf.
Toy Story.
Yeah.
Shrek. We didn't watch it. I don't think they.
Shrek, no,
we
Shrek.
wouldn't have allowed Shrek. Shrek probably would have been unallowed at the Christian school I went to. We can't have anything filthy or crude like Shrek. Play that for the kids.
All right, we need to make a decision with this.
Well, I'm sticking by my 9.
I think it's 9. Yeah, I'll give it a 9 too. Tarqaron score 9 out of 10.
Hey, I love this movie. I guess, like I said, I look forward to doing more years of my Elf on the 12th. Honestly, leave a comment down below. I would love if you hearing about me talking about that would help you maybe form your own little tradition of that. Like, I've never, as far as I'm aware, we're the only people in the whole country that do that, because that's just, it's just a fun, goofy thing to do. And that just is very much my friend Dan's sense of humor, or like sense of like puns, like, oh, Elf on the 12th. So
it's a good tradition to have.
Yeah.
All right, now go show your kids this movie. All right.
Oh yeah.
Go.
This is a wonderful movie. It's
they
very
have to be raised on it. You raise them on it, they'll be better people. That's just how it is. I did not expect to go on this long about Elf. Elf.
No.
It's like you'd expect a short one for Elf. It's like, what is there to say? An hour's worth. I mean, you just look at it.
You can just reminisce and talk about all the good times. I mean, like I said, I could probably quote like half the movie. So that's why I don't always dominate. I don't think the year that we were doing singular trivia, like where it was like we didn't have teams. It was just like me versus all the other people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I won any of those years, but for our trivia, we did teams this year, and our team won. But I was answering like most of the questions, so I'm good at this. I'm good at my elf facts. I'm good at that stuff.
Cotton-headed ninny muggins. Yes. Needs to be said.
Another cool fun fact, in case you didn't know this, that elf, who is the sort of foreman there, is played by the same actor who played Ralphie in A Christmas Story.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Because I know that's a family tradition for a lot of people. That's A Christmas Story is a big traditional film. It's kind of a cult classic. Yeah, so he makes an appearance in the movie, and that's cute.
Well, I mean, it needs to be done. Everybody. This is the movie that's been missing from our list of reviews for years. Elf.
It's been missing. Yeah, where is it? Everyone's been chomping in the bit. I know, like Rusty and Ryan boycotted ever coming on this channel again.
That's
until
right.
We reviewed Elf.
That's right. We're hemorrhaging viewers. Now it'll be interesting how many movies this is now objectively better than in the Tarqaron zeitgeist.
We have a spreadsheet. We keep track of this stuff. You'll have to. We'll see. It's gonna be way above like tons of really great stuff that I probably like more.
On the same level as Good Will Hunting.
Yep.
Boom.
Yep. Right there.
Right there.
You're right.
All right. Better than Mike
Zach,
Flanagan's recent work, the Midnight Club. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's better than that. Yeah, Zach, what should the good fine people go check out after this?
The good fine people.
Yeah.
They should go watch one of our other Christmas movies we reviewed, which is non-existent. Is there another one?
Did we do another Christmas? I don't even remember.
No, I don't think we have. What's a nice, wholesome, fun movie they can watch when they should show their kids? Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah. Weirdly wholesome movie.
So good.
Oh, you were almost as good as the actress that played Motoko in Ghost in the Shell.
Yeah.
There, I was.
Every
I was
Halloween,
really believing
it's
it.
gonna be a tradition for me to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife with the family.
Oh, that's
We
embarrassing.
gather
Anyway,
around. No,
the movie's not even
unironically,
that bad. It's
unironically,
just,
it'll be Ghostbusters 2 every year.
just oh my gosh, get that, get out of here with
That's right.
that.
All right, go check that out. I know you're in the
Yeah,
spirit.
yeah.
All right. If you enjoyed the video, subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, let us know what you think. Hit the notification bell and click the links in the description for our social media.
All
All
right.
right, get out of here.